Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. Enjoy watching, let's start.
He wasn't a poetic man. The sky was just blue. A rose was only a rose. The moon was a floating rock in space. But, Sasuke, but even he had his moments. I love you. Gently, like a spring breeze, Hinata Hyuga pulled him into her colorful world. He would die for Naruto. It was like one of those weird questions you'd have to write a page about for a freshman year English class. If you had to die for something, what would it be? Sasuke would die for Naruto. It wasn't as generous as most people would make it out to be, which is why he didn't make the effort to go about spouting the sentiment to everyone. Surely, one would think, oh, how selfless that Uchiha is. But that wasn't it, not really. It was because Naruto was an idiot who could hardly take care of himself. If Sasuke wasn't there with him, keeping him on track, surely he'd be dead by now. And it was H's mission as a friend to watch his back and keep that oblivious idiot in check when things were flying right over his head. That is why Sasuke would die for him, because shit Naruto already got himself into, that would probably be the most probable way of him going. But he didn't care, and maybe that was the selfless part of it that made him swallow those words deep down into his throat, where no one could reach them. If people found out, they wouldn't leave him alone. Actually, they already do that now. So it would be even more annoying to deal with even more of their shit. But why is he bringing this up now? Well, Naruto brought to their shared dorm a friend of his. A girl. Reasons why Naruto bringing over a girl is a bad, possibly dangerous sign. 1. Naruto's first girlfriend was Sakura Haruno, who beat the shit out of him when she was pissed, which was always, it seemed. Somehow, angsty teenagers in high finals were a bad mix. Who knew, right? And like the idiot he is, Naruto just took it. All of it, with a smile. It took Sasuke 2 years to talk him out of that shit. 2. Naruto's second girlfriend was some chick named Temari. She used him as a fling, but Naruto got the impression it would lead to something more. Graduation week F seniors is supposed to be one of the best weeks of a teenager's life, but Naruto was instead stuck in a corner to himself, reading again and again the final, nonchalant text sent him before dumping his ass. And, again, Sasuke was the one to pull back onto his feet. 3. Naruto thought any girl being nice to him meant they were interested in him. The poor fool got so enraptured by their smiles and kindness, but the end result was his heart breaking in half. What if this was that case scenario again? What if this was just a friendly girl that Naruto was sure had the hots for him? No matter how you look at it, girls were just bad news. But as he said before, Naruto was an idiot, and Sasuke was the friend of the idiot. Is it alright if a friend comes by for dinner? I haven't seen her in a while. Sasuke only gave him a fleeting glance over the pages of his textbook, then huffed. That was enough for Naruto, who began to straighten out his bedsheets and throw away empty packs of instant ramen just laying about. But in the back of Sasuke's head, he was preparing for whatever hellfire was about to come. Reason number 4. Girls had a lot of personalities. What would be the one for today? Overly cutesy, anger issues, loud and annoying, clingy, whiny, picky, emotional, a neat freak, passive-aggressive, overprotective and controlling, jealous, egotistical, vain. A small knock came to the door. Naruto jumped from his lofted bed and ran over to open it. Ah, Hinata. And when Sasuke frowned and glared from his bed, wow. Look at you. You haven't changed at all. Wait. Alright. Girls have different personalities. We know this. He knows this. But this one, well, usually, he had a pretty good idea what kind of mess he'd have to deal with within the first few seconds of meeting her. Hinata, this is Sasuke Uchiha, you know, the guy the first told you about. With her, however, he really hadn't a clue. All he knew was that, Sasuke, this is Hinata Hyuga. She and I were practically siblings growing up. She was. It's nice to meet you, Sasuke. Small. Really small. Like a chihuahua. Sasuke decided 10 minutes later when Naruto finished giving her the smallest tour of their dorm in history before taking her to their miniature kitchen could make sushi together. A chihuahua, but without the stupid barking. A lot of girls barked. This one, she kinda, sorta, the rice, Naruto. Shit, squeaked. So maybe a mouse was a better description. But the thing was, people didn't hold mice like Naruto held Hinata when she first came through their door. Tightly, up into his arms, caging her against his chest. He rummed his nose through her pixie cut and spun her around until they were both dizzy and wheezing. If she had a tail, it wouldn't have stopped wagging since the second she stepped. Sasuke, even from his distance, could tell that much. And after that, he was always touching her. Petting her head, holding her hand, tapping her cheek. And she smiled like a dog thirsty for attention. Chihuahua. Without the barking, Sasuke was more of a cat person, but this really wasn't about him. 20 minutes later, Sasuke also decided that, even if she was like a dog, at least she was a dog with manners. Sorry, Hinata, we don't have many people over, so there just ain't that many chairs. But, seriously, you can sit on my bed with me. I'm really okay, Naruto. Your rug is really nice. She sat, crisscrossed, on the floor between their beds, plate of sushi balanced carefully on her right knee as her cheap chopsticks were held in her hand. She ate slowly, and always made sure to swallow before speaking, a habit Naruto still desperately needed to learn. As the two chatted, snickering on old, childhood memories and catching up on their mutual friends, Sasuke ate his own sushi with vague interest. Sometimes, they tried to pull him into their conversation. Do you remember the name of that one anime, Sasuke? You know, where the guy wore, like, a mask and was the leader of this mech army. You sure it wasn't Code Geass, Naruto? No, the other one. You know, and then they'd both look up at him, Naruto with expectancy, and Hinata with, well, not really with anything. It was more like she looked like something. Like a baby, maybe. Or a toddler who fell down and watched the people around them to see how they reacted. Out of instinct, Sasuke frowned. Somehow, he didn't like it when people he didn't know well looked him in the eye. But she did it without hesitation, and only a smile came face. Tongue curling, he went back to his textbook. Like I'd know. Hinata laughed, which was honestly not what he expected at all. Because girls tended to go all mushy when they heard him speak, even if it wasn't to them directly, and for a moment the Sasuke was scared that just him talking would ruin whatever Naruto had with this Hinata chick, and before you call him conceited, it's happened before. But she just laughed, turned back to Naruto, and continued the conversation. Sasuke would die for Naruto. But this girl didn't seem all that dangerous. So maybe he could trust her with him. His answer came when she was leaving. After finishing dinner and cleaning up the used dishes, she was pulling on her boots at the door and yanking the sleeves of her koa closer to her small hands. Naruto helped adjust the collar of her jacket under her chin, and then he wrapped his arms around her, nearly squeezing her to death. Thanks for coming, he said, grinning into her hair. Sasuke watched all of this unfold from his same spot on his bed, still a bit puzzled. Childhood friends, he knew that much. But was there anything else more to it? Thanks for having me, she said, pulling away, and stepped halfway out of the doorway. See you later, Naruto. I love you. Ah, so it was like that. What do you think? You like her? It was a little unnerving, if Sasuke was to be truthful. He and Naruto have been friends for a while, but he's never heard him mention a girl named Hinata Hyuga before. And now, apparently, they were an item. But he supposed it was fine. Naruto had a pretty big shit-eating grin on his face, and his joy was obvious. And she didn't seem all that bad. Does it matter? He murmured, flipping to the next page of his book. Naruto huffed, cheeks turning pink. Asshat. Of course it does. Sure. Alright. What kind of answer is that? The world was gray. It always became that when it was winter. The sun hidden behind the clouds left a weird, drab tint on everything. Gray, bare tree branches, gray, rusty brick buildings, gray of students preparing for the start of the second college semester. Even Naruto's bright orange backpack seemed hazy and off that morning, before he left to go meet a group of friends at the local coffee house. The world was gray, but Sasuke didn't mind. And that was the extent of his poetic musing. But then he saw red. Red Knuckles. Not bleeding. Just blushing. Could Knuckles blush? Somehow, that just seemed like the right descriptor when it came to Hinata Hyuga. Good morning, Sasuke. For a moment, he had thought about just ignoring her. Sure, she was Naruto's friend, and sure she was decent, and sure she had done nothing to piss him off. Well, now that he thought about it, maybe blowing her off would be a dick move. They were in one of the sitting areas of campus. Were it the fall semester, or further into the spring semester when the sky was warm and the flowers were fresh, this was definitely the kind of place a horde of students would meet up and enjoy the weather and company. But right now, it was empty. Save from them, a gray Uchiha and a red Hinata. She looked lost. Her white backpack, new and empty, didn't even sag off her shoulders and down her back. Did that mean she was going to this college now? Did that mean she lived in one of the dorms? Did she move to be closer to her boyfriend? So did that mean she was looking for the bookstore? The polite thing to do was to, at the very least, give her directions. I hope you're staying warm. She was rubbing her own, mittened hands together and looking at his bare ones that hung at his sides. If you don't mind, could you please, this way? He turned and led her the way. And she followed, like a dog. Maybe he should stop comparing the girlfriend of his best friend to a dog. She looked absolutely thrilled upon the bold, golden sign over the arching doorway of the bookstore. Oh, thank you very much, Sasuke. It was relatively busy in there, as the first day of classes was just 2 days away. As students trickled out, Sasuke stared at the piles of books they were carrying. Thick and heavy, with spines the size of a wrestler's arm. How many classes are you taking? He asked her. She paused for a moment, then said, 5. And if he was going to go strictly off her personality, English major, probably or finance. Both of which require a whole lot of books. Sasuke, I need to pick up a few things. So he went in, telling himself to just get through it. If he left her to fend for herself in a crowded bookstore, Naruto would kill him. Thank you. She was the type that caught on quick, it seemed. That was both good and bad in Sasuke's mind. And maybe she could also read the room, because she only did a little bit of small talk with him, all of which didn't require him to talk back. They spent the majority of time searching for her books, and he grabbed a binder from the front as they waited in line to at least make his life seem a little more real. She dipped up and down on the balls of her feet as they waited, but her smile was anything but impatient. Seriously, what the hell was up with her? Maybe he didn't see it correctly. Maybe it was just his imagination. But after checking out her books, as they went to leave, he was almost sure she had reached out, as if to grab his hand. But she never did, and, surely, she never would. Naruto was her boyfriend. Thank you very much, Sasuke. Don't mention it, you really helped me out. MHN. He was ready to go back. She was nice and all, but his head was stuck on that almost maybe possible reaching out, and it was best to just leave her at that. Hinata must have understood, for she was already falling into her soft, polite farewells. Can you tell Naruto that I left him some hot chocolate packets near the microwave? I don't want him to forget they're there. That made him almost feel guilty. God, what was he thinking? She obviously liked Naruto. He was being paranoid. Yeah, he said, looking back at his dorm's building. Yeah, and the pause that came after was. He wasn't a poetic man. But that pause, it was foretelling of something that could send any man onto his knees. He should have left. He should have just left. But then, in that gray world, he saw that flash of red. The blush had crept up from her knuckles, onto her face, on the swell of her cheeks as she grinned at him. Sasuke. And she, I love you. Reason number 5 as to why it was always bad news that Naruto brought a girl over to the dorms. They could not be trusted. Even the nice, colorful ones. Dump her. He threw his backpack on the floor and collapsed on his dark blue comforter, already frowning to himself. Naruto, on his own bed, was immediately aware of his bad mood, him slamming himself into the room. He sat up, staring, face twinged with worry. Your girlfriend, Sasuke bit out. Get a new one. I don't fucking care. Just get rid of her. That worry faded into blatant confusion. Girlfriend. God, he was such an idiot. Yes, Naruto. Girlfriend. Hinata. Whatever she is, leave her. What he expected was anger. What? Why would I leave her, you bastard? Or even masked sadness. Did she say something to you? But what he got was, dude. She's not my girlfriend. I don't even like her like that. ... Wait. But she, last night, she had said, oh, that. Naruto grinned and relaxed back into his bed, fishing for his Switch so he could continue to play whatever game he was on. Dude, that's just Hinata. She's like with everyone. What? The hugging, the bright smiling, the, I love yous. That was just Hinata. Wait, don't tell me, you saw her today, didn't you? And Naruto began to laugh so hard that he choked on thin air. Sasuke was so startled and pissed off that he almost jumped onto his bed to strangle him himself. Oh my god. He barked. That's hilarious. I wish I could have seen your face. And it must have been to piss him off more, it had to be. Because that night, Hinata came over again. Hinata. She hadn't even gotten her coat off when Naruto grabbed her and spun her around. She laughed and grabbed his shoulders, and when he was done, she held onto him in hug as she tried to catch her breath. Hinata, Naruto called, I love you. Her face was full of absolute joy, and when Naruto looked over to give Sasuke a cheeky grin, he wanted to, well. Oh, Sasuke. From beyond Naruto's wide shoulders, Hinata peeked over, face still flustered, and gave him her normal, brilliant smile. Good to see you again. ... Sasuke would die for Naruto, usually. But at that moment, he wanted nothing more but to stab him. Stretching arms wasn't all that challenging of a thing, and even if it were, Sasuke wasn't the type to just bow his chin to a challenge. But, seriously, it was just arms, an invitation, a silent call for him. Nothing dangerous, nothing intimidating, definitely nothing challenging. Of all people, Hinata Hyuga shouldn't be challenging, especially not to him. And yet, ... Hinata was like a shadow, or something. No matter where he looked, she was there. In his kitchen, half covered in Naruto's sheets, counting the leaves at the campus garden, she was everywhere. Which was because for so long, she wasn't. For so long, it was just him and Naruto. Sometimes, their mutual friends came along, but that wasn't nearly as often, and their duo was really disturbed now. It was him, Naruto, and Hinata. But it was also because she never overstayed her welcome that he never really minded. She always left before her presence could become too annoying for him. It was new. It was like, whenever she looked at him, a passing glance, usually, as she didn't really take to staring like most girls did, it was like she was getting a read on him. Was there a meter on him? When his social battery was getting low, did he start beeping from his ears? Ah, I should go back. I have a book to read. She was doing it now. Quick look his way, and then she was on her feet, sliding on her slippers. Naruto paused the game they were playing and watched her, frowning. It's not even 8 yet. She only smiled and opened the door. I'll see you tomorrow. I love you. Oi. He hopped off his bed and ran over to give her a squeezing hug. I love you, too. Remember to dress warm for tomorrow. The place is a 10-minute walk away, and supposed to be freezing. She hummed, hugged him back, and then, Sasuke called it, that look. It came up so much that it had its own name now, even if he only referred to it as such at a subconscious level. That look was something Hinata mastered whenever she yelled at someone. Those light, unusual eyes of hers widened, the darker edges turning sharp with focus. When she stared at you with that look, it made you feel like, it was K-like. Well, if Sasuke was Naruto, he'd describe it something along the lines of, it makes you feel like Saitama from One Punch Man. You want to hug her so bad, but you scared that if you did, she'd get crushed because you feel so powerful. But Sasuke wasn't Naruto, so, it made him feel weird. That was the only way he could describe it. And whenever she gave him that look, which was only when she was ever about to leave, Sasuke, I love you. She'd say those words, and that weird feeling from before returned tenfold. Ellipsis. An Uchiha's guide to dealing with that look. 1. Don't say anything back, especially not I love you. 2. Don't smile back, either. Frowning is the best way to go. 3. Add in a glare for extra measure. You know, just in case. 4. Profit. Dude, what's with that face? You looked like you wanted to kill her. Ah, that wasn't. He just didn't know what else to do. He was raised in a household where if you were in a state of panic, you glared daggers and looked big and angry, like a lion, or a bee or something. That way, the enemy couldn't take advantage of the situation. Ellipsis. Not that Hinata was the enemy. But that look definitely was. Ellipsis. He's used the Uchiha guide at least 7 times, but not once has it deterred that look from popping up again. So, note to everyone, if you ever come across that look, don't do what Sasuke does. Clearly, he needs to figure out a new method. Ellipsis. Maybe he was like a light bulb or something, but instead of moths, he attracted stupid people. When classes were over the next day, Naruto reminded him for the 12th time that they had a meeting at the local taco joint with a few other buddies of theirs. Most of T went to other, nearby colleges, though some of them went to the same one but just didn't live on campus. Sasuke met most of them through Naruto. Obviously. But he didn't hate them, not really. He wasn't a good guy, and Sasuke's been told more than a handful of times that he had the face of a guy who loathed the world, but he didn't hate a lot of things. Some things annoyed him, some things weren't his cup of tea, but hating was hot and angry and took a lot of effort, and he was too tired nowadays to deal with all that shish. So they were decent, these friends. Annoying, but decent. Stupid, but decent. Ellipsis. A quick introduction to the swarm of dumbasses. Naruto Uzumaki. You already know him, but it's still noteworthy to say that out of the 3 brain cells shared by the whole lot of them, he owns absolutely 0 of them. Ino Yamanaka. Loud and chatty, and when she gets drunk, she breaks out into yoga poses. Despite her moronic tendencies, she's a psych. Major. Yeah, Sasuke's still figure that one out. Kiba Inuzuka. His normal level of talking is yelling. China could hear him snore. Sasuke's quite sure he's half dog or something, because just by smelling a dish, he could tell all the ingredients used in it. Shino Aburame. The most quiet of the idiots, but an idiot, nonetheless. He talks to bugs or something. Has like 3 pet tarantulas that he takes to photoshoots every week. Honestly sad Sasuke has been to at least 10 of them. And, what? Hey, wait. Is that, God, it's been too long, Hinata. Hinata Hyuga. The newest member of the group. Apparently, everyone already knew her, somehow. Childhood friends or something. Again, Sasuke would like to remind you that never once in his knowing of these people has the name Hinata Hyuga ever left their mouth. And he couldn't really blame it on them just falling out of touch, because the second Hinata slid into their shared, semicircle booth, Kiba was already taking off his jacket her for the next 5 minutes. If he were a light bulb for idiots, then she must be one for the starved of touch. Because they wouldn't stop touching her. He's known Kiba for 3 years, and never once has he seen him hold someone's hand like he held Hinata's, gently, kinda. Not gently like she would break, but gently like loved her. There was a difference there that, somehow, Sasuke could understand. He's also known Shino for the same amount of time, and not for even a second has he allowed anyone to come close to his head. But after Hinata finished up her taco, she that his back faced her and traced shapes into his skull, running her fingers through his short, dark hair with a pleased smile on her face. Shino seemed content as well, that didn't happen often, either. Ino was a bit more hands-on, but more so in the way that she was more than happy to break a guy's nose if they crossed her. But when Hinata rested her head on her not a spark of violence was in those blue eyes of hers. Thus, Sasuke came to the conclusion that Hinata was many things, a chihuahua with no bark, a shadow, a light bulb, and a miracle worker. Ellipsis. Outside, the wind was howling. He pressed his hand against the window pane and felt his arms from the cold. But in that little taco joint, the air was warm and soft. Ellipsis. When he unzipped his jacket and tied the arms around his waist, Hinata was watching him and giving him that look from her spot against Naruto's chest. A bit worried she thought it was him somehow inviting her over for some cuddle time, Sasuke went through the Uchiha guide without thought. Frown. Glare. Silence. She smiled, and he huffed and, for the next 6 minutes, tried to think of a better way to go about it. Ellipsis. They wanted to go for karaoke after dinner, but it was a Wednesday night, and Sasuke had a quiz to study for. Or, well, that was his excuse, at least. He just didn't want to go. The idea of listening to Kiba and Ino's off-key duets was not a pleasing thought, sure, but it was mostly the fact that Hinata would be there that him not want to tag along. Just the idea that, somehow, he'd end up like them with her fingers in his hair and his face pressed into her neck, it was hard to describe. It wasn't scary. He wasn't scared. There was just a sense of losing, maybe, like he would be losing something if that happened. There was also the fact that they've barely known one another for a week and he's hardly said a sentence to her, so the image of her scooting over in their little karaoke RO and wrapping her arms around him like all girls tried to do was weird. Sasuke, come on, no, but you love karaoke. When have I ever said that? Naruto was begging on their way out of the restaurant, but once the cold air hit his face, he closed his mouth and pulled his scarf closer to his chin. There's no point in forcing him, Kiba said. Let him go. Can we hurry this up? Ino rubbed her hands together before stuffing them in her pockets. I'm about to freeze my ass off. It's okay, Naruto, Hinata whispered to him, a soft smile on her face. Maybe a different day, when we aren't so busy. Sasuke doubted that would ever be the case, but he wasn't about to say anything more, or else Naruto would start his begging again. He turned away, fishing for his pocket, making sure it was there and ready for when he got back. Hua. Aren't ya forgettin' something? He stopped. He shouldn't have, but he did. When he looked back, Kiba was smiling at him. He cocked a head Hinata's way. Don't forget your goodbye. Hinata's face turned red, but she didn't look totally embarrassed or anything of the sort. It wasn't exactly a cold red, either, though the air was surely adding on the color. It was more like a happy red. A thrilled red. A you're my Saitama red. And then her arms pulled away from herself, and she lifted them up to him. An invitation. A call. A piece of warmth on that winter evening. Ellipsis. She wanted to hug him. Ellipsis. It wasn't a challenge. Well, for Kiba, maybe it was. A will you or won't you sort of thing. But for Hinata, it clearly wasn't. It was just a hug. Just a hug. Ellipsis. Sasuke didn't back down from challenges. He didn't run from them. But this wasn't a challenge, so he turned, and with a bit of pride butting in to not make it obvious, he ran. Ellipsis. Hugging could only be a bad thing. Because hugging led to holding hands. Which led to crushes. Which led to confessions. Which led to kissing. Which led to sex. Hugging led to sex, and Sasuke definitely didn't want that. Because sex meant kids, and to this day, his father's words were stuck in his head, don't have children, boy. I won't be any better of a grandfather, and you won't be any better of a father. And maybe it was to scare his younger self away from the world of adult intimacy, but Sasuke knew there was some truth there. He would be a shit father. Like his own. But unlike his own, at least he had the decency to not have children to spare them from the torture. They were laughing, and then Ino shouted for them to get going before they all froze to death. Sasuke didn't feel like he could freeze, though. That warmth from that booth inside the restaurant was still there, lingering behind him, following him, catching up, like a Sasuke. Shadow. If he kept running, it would be obvious. Then when Naruto got back from karaoke, he wouldn't let him live it down, ha. Sasuke's scared of a girl, so he stopped and down at her. Clouds escaped her mouth as she caught her breath. Her hand was pulled out, as if to grab a sleeve, an arm, but it never did. She pulled it back, and she gave an apologue smile. I'm sorry, she said. I wasn't trying to. Even she didn't know what to call it, so she just left it at that. I'm leaving. He really didn't have to announce it, but it just felt right. Polite. That's the least he could do, right? She nodded. Get back safe. Please text Naruto when you get there, or we'll worry. And then, that look. Fuck. He was screwed. I love you. Ellipsis. Out of habit, he almost went down the usual list. But that was as effective as shit, so, instead, yeah. Thanks. Ellipsis. Yeah, thanks. When he got to his dorm, he wanted nothing more but to slam his head through the wall. But that could damage the property, so he slammed it into one of his heavy textibi instead. Halfway through the headache, he remembered Hinata's words and sent a quick text to Naruto letting him know he got back. Not got back fine, just got back. The cold, like girls, could only bring bad things. When fingers went purple from the frost in the air, when a tongue swelled with ice and blocked air from passing through, when it got quieter and quieter because that blanket of snow could lull anyone into a frigid slumber, when it was that time of year, Sasuke couldn't help but feel a little anxious. Especially when she was out here, in this dangerous, gray world. Oh, Sasuke. Because Hinata was a colorful, warm woman. Her knuckles blushed red, the warmth of her voice carried through the harsh wind. But on days like today, even she was pale and freezing, and, somehow, that just didn't sit right with him. He paid close attention to the weather. It was always a tab on his phone, stuffed behind Google searches and the constantly used thesaurus page. Every now and then, between studying or nuking some leftover microwave, he'd take a quick scroll through the week's weather report to make sure he had the most updated information. That morning, he woke up to a notification that the next 3 days would be the coldest days of the year. Expect temperatures in the negatives, the reporter told him. The small screen of his phone, and especially on Friday, you'd better watch out for those strong winds that will make the day even colder. Hey, Naruto. He threw one of his pillows on the mountain of tangled body limbs and blankets, and from it, a groan rumbled through the cracks. When's your class today again? Dude, I'm trying to sleep in here. Still, a tan hand pulled his phone into the mountain of covers and clicked it on to see the time. 10. Then I have one at noon, but, shush dude, I'm packed this week. Naruto emerged from the pile of warmth and threw his legs over the side of his bed. I have 2 exams to study for and this whole fucking paper to write. Shit. And on Friday, we have that big lab for organic chemistry. Sasuke watched for a moment as his roommate jumped about the room, pulling on some sweats while peering into the mini fridge for something to snack on. I'll come huh? Naruto gave him a look. Don't you have class on the other side of campus? Cancelled. Sasuke lied. My professor's sick. Despite Naruto being a dumbass, he knew Sasuke well enough to pick up on his bullshit. Thankfully, he didn't say anything more, and Sasuke made sure to pull out Naruto's heaviest coat when grabbing his own. God, I'm screwed. Rubbing his hands together, Naruto glared down at the concrete of the walkway. Physics is going to kick my ass. There's no way I'm gonna be able to remember all these formulas. The sky was a darker gray than usual, and not a single ray of sunshine was allowed to break through and warm up a section of the town. The wind wasn't all that bad, but whenever it picked up, it was as if the entire world was shivering. Sasuke watched Naruto breathe smoke into his hands before trapping them in the pocket of his hoodie. Like, okay, it's so complicated. Big M means this and little m means that, how am I supposed to remember that? Would it snow? It snowed a bit over winter break, but Naruto had been visiting his family in Hawaii, so it wasn't anything he had to worry about. But if there was bad enough snow, then maybe classes would be cancelled. Not everyone just lived on campus and could walk to where they needed to be, after all. So maybe they could just stay in their dorms for the rest of the week. That would make things a lot easier. And not to mention it's not even multiple choice, so, hey. Sasuke. Tearing his eyes away from the sky, he looked back at Naruto. Something up. He shook his head. It's cold as hell. Naruto laughed. That's true. If you hate it that much, then stop slacking off. They began to walk faster, and Sasuke had no complaints. Ah, Naruto. The wind died upon the hot breath of Hinata Hyuga calling upon them from the distance. The brick building where Naruto's class would be was just a few steps away, and the moment he heard Hinata's voice, Naruto stopped. Fucking hell. Gritting his teeth, Sasuke grabbed Naruto's arm and dragged him through the glass doors. Warm air blasted over them, biting at their freezing ears and stiff fingers. Naruto shoved away from his hold and looked back at the doors. Oi, he said, you just left her, but then Hinata came through the doors, a pink scarf tied loosely around her neck. Her nose nearly matched the color of it, and her eyes sparkled at the both of them. Good morning, she said. You both look warm, Hinata. Naruto was halfway in the process of hugging her, but he stopped upon looking at her thin jacket. What, Hinata, how are you not freezing? You'll get sick if you dressed like that. And for whatever reason, Naruto looked ready to shrug off his coat to give it to her. Ah, Hinata pulled out a hand to stop him. No, don't you have a class to get to? Sasuke lifted a foot to kick him in the direction of his class. And here you were just going on about how busy you are. Oh, Hinata's bare hands lifted to her mouth. I'm sorry, if I knew, I wouldn't have stopped you. Huffing, shooting Sasuke a quick glare, Naruto readjusted his coat so it was back on his shoulders. No, it's fine. But I don't think I can. He glanced at the clock on the wall and gasped. Shit, okay, bye, then, I need to get going. Hinata smiled. Have a good class. I love you. Yeah, Naruto called over his shoulder. Yeah, same. He was off in a hurry, backpack shuffling against his back as he pushed through a set of heavy doors and ran up the gray staircase. Something was off in her face. He couldn't describe it, but when Sasuke looked back at Hinata, she didn't look the same. But maybe he was seeing things. But what he did see, well, to put it simply, it pissed him off. Naruto was right, she wasn't dressed appropriately for the weather at all. What? He muttered, you got a death wish or something? Her face was pensive and a little flat for a moment, but then she took a step closer to him and turned back into her normal, colorful self. You have class soon, right? Probably. In fact, he did. In 3 minutes. Her head tipped back to the glass doors. They rattled with a particularly heavy gust, and then it was quiet again. Can I walk with you? He gave her a pointed look and pulled his backpack closer to his body. Why would you need to do that? Really, he just didn't want her to accidentally tell Naruto that he did, in fact, have class. Oh, I can walk myself. He walked around her and pressed his left shoulder into the door, not enough to push it open, but still enough to get the point across. And unless you freeze to death, you should probably take a different way back to the dorms. Okay, and, maybe, deep down, he just didn't want her to have to run through the freezing weather in such flimsy clothes. Her shoes were glued to that spot on the tile, but her body leaned forward, towards him. She looked like she desperately wanted to go with him, but not an inch of her mo. Finally, after a passing second, she gave a small nod. Alright, her voice was sort of, well, again, Sasuke didn't really know how to describe it. Stay warm, I love. Obviously, he didn't want to shame himself with his response to her usual farewell like last time, nor did he want to glare and frown like some beast and make her feel like hated her, because, well, he didn't. Not really, not at all, so he just left. The world was cold, and he pulled the collar of his jacket close to his mouth to hide the frustrated purse of his lips. He didn't think he'd see her again for the rest of the day, but he did. It was 4, and the sky was dim, almost dark. He was on his way to the library. Naruto had texted him that he would be running over to the dorms to grab one of his texts that he had forgotten, and Sasuke figured it was best to just save him the trouble and bring it to him himself. The library was sectioned off into 2 floors, where the first one held the millions of books the college owned while the second had study rooms and public computers for us on campus. When he saw her, she was wrapped in a mocha shawl and almost blended in with the shelves of the library. The boy she was with, which just so happened to be Kiba Inazu, stood out like a sore thumb, however. Even despite the red beanie, his hair could not be tamed, and he had to shove his bangs out of his face every so often as he hunched to talk quietly with Hinata. But because this was Kiba, quietly, was practically normal volume for him, so Sasuke could hear their conversation almost perfectly as he slowly approached them. I'm sorry. Hey, maybe later, right? When everyone isn't so busy. It's okay, Kiba, Hinata whispered back. I understand. Please study hard with Naruto. Oh, so the 2 biggest idiots were studying together. Sasuke made his presence known to the 2 by making his footsteps a little more loud as he came up to them. Give him when you go up there, he told Kiba, handing him a big textbook. He forgot it. Kiba gave him a quick grin. God, this exam is going to shit on us, I swear. He snorted, took the book, then lifted a hand in farewell as he turned towards the staircase leading the upper floor. Wish us luck. We'll fucking need it. Good luck, Hinata said. Love you. Nothing. Weird. The last time Sasuke checked, Kiba didn't have an ounce of Uchiha in him. She looked up at him, face glowing and hopeful. Are you free? Why? She pulled out something from the back pockets of her jeans, which looked thicker and warmer than the ones she wore earlier, thankfully. I got coupons for the cafe on 6th. I understand everyone is probably busy right now, but even a 30-minute break can be good for the mind. Something heavy got stuck in his abdomen, like when you started working out without stretching first, and the only way to get the muscles to relax is if you breathe really slowly through your nose and out your mouth. His heart sounded like he was working out, too. He didn't really understand it. All he knew was that she was giving him to again, and he never really knew what to do when that was happening. I can't. That was all he said. It didn't feel right, being alone with her. Because when he thought about them going to a cafe together, it seemed way too intimate. And she was an intimate kind of person, so what if she got that he was suddenly like Naruto or Kiba or Shino? What if she didn't hesitate to hug him or grab his hand this time? What if she just did it? Then what? What was he supposed to do? When Uchihas panic, they become mean bastards. His father taught him this. When he was stressed, he let his family know. His mom would get all quiet and distant, and his brother would try to distract him when he was younger so he wouldn't bother their father any more than he already did by just existing. When his father panicked, he became a control freak. They could only eat for 10 minutes, and if they took longer than that, their food would be thrown away. They weren't allowed to buy anything without asking him, even if it was food from the school cafe. If they looked him in the eye, he'd knock them in the back of their heads. If they didn't, he'd lecture them for being cowards. If Hinata started treating him like Naruto, or Kiba, or Shino, he'd panic. And if he panicked, he would become a mean bastard. But she's never done anything wrong to him. She didn't deserve that, even he knew that much. So, it really was best that he just said no. Hope dripped from her face like melting snow. Yeah, she said, I get it. I thought I'd at least ask. Her fingers crumpled up the coupons into small, tight balls, and she quickly pushed them back into her jeans pockets, ashamed to let him look at them for even a second more. Good night, Sasuke. Love you. Saying no was the best course of action. Right, yet, somehow, he felt like a total shithead. When a knock came to the door the next day, he thought it was Naruto, again. What did you forget this time? He sighed, unlocking the door. I told you to text me. It's too fucking cold for you to be. It wasn't Naruto. Hello, Sasuke. A while ago, he had the image in his head that Hinata was like a dog, a chihuahua, to be more exact. He's tried to stop referring to her as such. Naruto would probably kill him, and it just wasn't the most kind thing to say about someone. But, just for the sake of analogies, say Hinata was dog-like. She kinda looked like a dog after you've been gone for a week. Something like that, like really excited, totally excited. Tail wagging like crazy and all but then, after a second, she looked like a dog who hasn't seen you for a week, and you still haven't come back home. But then, after a second, she looked like a dog who hasn't seen you for a week, and you still haven't come back home. And, honestly, Sasuke was a little offended that she got that look the moment she saw him. Hey, she tried to peek in. Is Naruto? No, he said. Oh, her mouth opened, then closed. Her right hand, which had been on the door frame, slowly slid down before hanging at her hip. Her mouth opened again, then closed, and she kept staring at his face like she was trying to figure something out. Then, finally, she spoke, voice thin and quiet. Sorry, I didn't mean to bother you. It's fine. She lingered, shifting back and forth. Was she waiting for something? For Naruto to appear out of thin air? What? He asked, making her jump. Sorry, nothing. It's just, Her eyes dipped, and her smile was forced. I love you. When he closed the door, he felt, wow. Once a bastard, always a bastard. He felt like if Naruto was there, he'd tell him exactly that. But he was off studying, and Hinata was out in the dorm's hallway, looking lonely and sad. Damn it. Hey, he yanked the door open once again. If you want, you can, but she wasn't there, and it was freezing. He walked Naruto to his chemistry lab on Friday. You know, Naruto said, I heard it's supposed to snow. His words were a gentle press into the side of his skull, but they were definitely not enough to catch his attention. Instead, as they passed the cafeteria, he spotted a pink off to the side, alone and sagging down the shoulders of a faded girl. Sasuke. He didn't look away until the wall cut him off, and it was then he heard Naruto calling for him. Yeah, he said, I know. The second Naruto went into his class, Sasuke spun around and ran back. Well, ran didn't sound right, ran sounded desperate, and he wasn't desperate. He was just checking. But by the time he got there, she was already leaving the cafeteria, and her scarf was gone. Hey, he stopped in front of her, and she looked up at him, hands pulling on the straps of her backpack. Her knuckles were white, her eyes looked tired. What happened, scarf? Her brows pinched, then raised with slight surprise. Someone needed it, so I gave it to them. Her jaw hung in wonder. Don't you need it? She sounded so much like Naruto. It was aggravating. What about you? And it was that stupid, stressed smile again. What the hell? Didn't she used to, smile all the time? I'm okay. Well, obviously that wasn't true, but he didn't know what else to say. Where are you going now? I'm just, She looked around, as if just realizing where she was. I'm just here, I guess. I'm not going anywhere. Damn it, she really wasn't making this easy for him. Then, alright, but he couldn't force her to go anywhere, so he just gave in. Then I'm heading back, and though he hated to admit it, he waited for that normal farewell of hers. Would he say anything back to her? Probably not, and even if he did, it wouldn't be anything good. But still, he waited. But it never came. Holy shit. Peeling back the curtains, Naruto peered out the window. It actually is snowing. Sasuke scoffed and turned back to his game. I don't know why you're surprised. I'm not. I guess it's just been a while. There was a shift, and when he looked up from his switch, he saw Naruto grinning at him. Hey, we should go play in it. Sasuke frowned. No. What? You're no fun. It's in the negatives, dumbass. There's still people out there, though. Yeah, probably people who don't have an idea on how to take care of themselves. If he weren't here, Sasuke was sure Naruto would be out there with the rest of the fools. Knowing how he is, he wouldn't even be dressed properly, or he'd give his coat to someone like he almost did for Hinata. Wait, where are you going? Does it matter? Zipping up his coat, Sasuke was already unlocking the door. I'll be back. Oi, Naruto called, huffing. You better not be going out there to have fun without me. He was hoping he was wrong. He was hoping Hinata was maybe a little smarter than Naruto. He was hoping that when he got out there, all the faces he saw would be unfamiliar. But he knew one. Of course he did. The cold was a dangerous thing. It could kill people if they weren't careful. Frostbite, hypothermia. Nothing good ever came from the cold. Hinata. Oh, Sasuke, seriously, did she have a death wish or something? The world was like a dark gray. Smoky. Bleak. It sucked all the life out of her. It was so unsettling, that Sasuke was almost too cautious to get near her. But he did, and when he did, he saw the trails of ice on her face. What the hell is wrong with you? He said those words to Naruto 7 years ago, in a similar situation, and it hadn't ended well, so, really, what was he expecting from them again? But unlike Naruto, who had just laughed at him like it didn't bother him at all, Hinata only dropped her head in shame. I know, she cried. I know, I'm so stupid. Actually, he probably would have preferred if she had reacted like Naruto. Everyone's busy. They're not avoiding me on purpose, I know that. But I can't help it. I feel so empty. When her hand again, bare touched the powdered surface of she sat on, he could hardly distinguish the color of her skin from the color of the snow. And it's not their fault, and they don't hate me or anything, so I wish I would just feeling like this. But it still hurts, somehow. I don't know. I'm so confused. Wind roared into their sides, but Sasuke hardly felt it. And you, She looked at him in a way he's never seen from her before. It was much more unsettling than that look ever could be. I do nothing but make you uncomfort and I'm sorry. I'm trying to stop, but this is just how I am. I just need people, but that doesn't mean people need me. No, but that wasn't it. But Sasuke didn't know how to word it, so he just said, there's still no reason for you to be out here. Hinata curled into herself and shivered. I just wanted to get out of my dorm. But, for fuck's sake, she still didn't have any coat or scarf or anything on. And it was fucking snowing. What the hell was wrong with her priorities? Jesus. He yanked his coat off and dropped it onto her. You're a sad sight. If Naruto was out here, he'd at least be enjoying the snow. She didn't smile like he was kind of hoping she would, but she didn't look nearly as depressed, either. Yes, she hummed, that's true. At least sit somewhere in the lobby, he continued. It's cold out here. Her eyes drifted to the building, but she didn't move. He tried to hold his father's hand once, when he was 7. What do you think you're doing? But he was shoved into the walls of his own home and ignored, and that was the last time he ever tried to do it. Until, well, come on, let's go. Now, he supposed. An observation on the act of holding hands, from the paw of an Uchiha who has never held hands with someone before, it's awkward. Not like the feeling awkward, though there was also a bit of that, but more so physically awkward. His hand was twice the size of hers, so it was a bit tricky to good grip on it without feeling like he was about to crush it. Her nails were longer than his, so even if it wasn't on purpose, they kind of dug into his palm. It didn't hurt, was just awkward. Oh, and also she was crying again. Was that supposed to happen? Sasuke really wasn't sure. But even if she was crying, when they got inside, she didn't let go. And after her entire speech of how she felt alone and empty, he didn't really want to let go, either. Her hands were really cold. And stiff. They shook with her entire body. He wondered if they'd eventually warm up. I'm sorry about this, she whispered as they sat side by side on one of the cushioned benches inside the lobby. Their connected hands were laying mostly on her leg, and could feel the roughness of her jeans on his wrist. I know this isn't really your thing. She was very right on that one, but he didn't say anything past a short grunt. Just give me 6 more minutes. Her fingers curled around his, squeezing, and it made holding her hand a little more comfortable. I'm recharging. And so, quietly, time swept by. By the time it hit 5 minutes, her hand had finally warmed up, and her fingers weren't as stiff. It wasn't as awkward feeling. Actually, it kind of felt nice. So, maybe holding her hand wasn't that bad. When 6 minutes were up, she slipped her hand from his and grinned up at him. It was that normal, familiar, shining grin that he thought fit her a lot more than the other. There, she said with a trill in her voice, all charged up. And, somehow, he felt the same way. Today was the last day, he told her before she got off the elevator and onto the floor where her dorm room was. Naruto won't be busy tomorrow. She smiled as the door slowly closed, but she put a hand on the side to keep it open. And you? She asked. Will you be busy? For whatever reason, the hand she had held began to itch, and he rubbed it on the side of his jeans. Probably not. Pulling her hand from the door, Hinata said, then I'll see you both tomorrow. The door almost closed again, but it was his turn to push it back open. And he waited. The elevator hummed impatiently, but he waited. And Hinata, as if understanding, bloomed with reds and pinks as she laughed. Thanks for everything. I love you, Sasuke. Yeah, the words hit the shut door of the elevator, and as it slowly lifted to his floor, Sasuke rubbed his hands together and sighed. Hinata. I missed you so much, I thought I would die. Ah, Naruto, let me take off my, Naruto. He cackled and lifted her up before throwing both of themselves on his bed. He tucked her head under his chin and rested his palms on her back, squeezing like she had squeezed his hand last night. Not that Sasuke was making any comparisons. Chill out, he muttered from his bed. You'll kill her. Shut it, bastard. I'm not doing anything wrong. He stopped, and they both suddenly became aware of the sniffling coming from the girl in Naruto's arms. Naruto pulled away, startled. Sorry, did I hurt you or something? Hinata only shook her head and laughed. No, I'm just happy. She pushed her face into his shoulder. I love you so much. Naruto smiled. Hey, I love you, too. I love you. Yeah, me too. And maybe Sasuke was seeing things again, but he was almost sure that she was looking at him when she said that last one.